Yeah. So one thing that I just recently spoke about was Little Dirk converting to Islam or stating that he was a Muslim, that he wasn't in any gang. And by him stating that, you would see that he actually had, you know, that his Islamic faith with his faith in Islam or his Islamic stance would be, you would see it. It wouldn't be something that he just said and I'm Muslim, and then you go about doing worldly things, doing things that doesn't make you set apart. You know, part of Islam is to be set apart as well. Same thing with Christianity. Your thing is to be set apart from the world. Same thing with you know um, they have some of the same stance when it comes to following the world. You can't follow the world and at the same time um, submit to Islam. And the same thing with Christianity. You cannot be a part of the world and say that you're with God. So that was one of the things that I stated about me seeing or having some knowledge of Little Dirk. See, we don't know these people. The only thing that we know is what's displayed to us on these TV screens or these computer screens or on our telephone screens. We don't really know them personally. But what I do know and understand about him is that he was um, a prominent figure in the Chicago drill rap scene. And in that scene, there was a lot of violence and a lot of death. And for you to come out of there, that means that you played a significant role in that, because there was a lot of people that didn't make it out of that situation. And from the beginning of those events, as I watched them unfold, this was back when Obama was in office. As I began to watch those um, events unfold, I had made a video addressing the problem in Chicago, with the gangs, because at that particular time I was in one of the gangs that came from out of Chicago. I was associated with one of those gangs, which was the Gangster Disciples, and he was associated with the BDs, the Black Disciples, and these two organizations were at odds with each other, and they was just killing each other. And as somebody that had some association with it, I felt the need to address it, and I addressed it. And it was the video that I made. It was called "A Message to the Black Man." Same thing like the book with Elijah Muhammad. I believe Elijah Muhammad made A Message to the Black Man book, but it was a message to the brothers in Chicago about how they had to stop killing each other and being at odds with each other, because it had no, it solved nothing. And this comes from you experiencing or being amongst people like that. Even though you were associated with those things, that wasn't who you actually are. But it was just a path that God allowed me to venture down and see and experience those people that associate themselves with it. These were, you know, these were just misguided brothers. That I encountered. And they felt as though that they was doing something that gave them a sense of being and some sort of power, but they was actually just misguided, and they had a misunderstanding about a lot of things that could be resolved with pulling back and seeing things from another perspective. And a lot of people are not rewarded that opportunity to see themselves or see certain things from another perspective. And unfortunately, a lot of people had to succumb to gang violence and be casualties of gang war. Like the brother Little Jojo, um, and they were all chasing popularity and fame. At the same time, they was initiating a war with a rival gang that was in close proximity. So this is the reason why it was so easy for there to be so many casualties, because they stayed in close proximity, and they threw jabs at each other, and a lot of people end up you know being caught what they call lacking. And Little Dirk, he experienced some of his friends, his brother, a lot of people that was close to him that 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 became casualties of that life. And it was kind of a blessing to hear that he was a Muslim, that he changed his life. But when you make a deal with the devil and you don't know how deep you are into it, you never know when the devil's going to come and collect. There's no not you know the the devil's always going to come and collect in, especially when you haven't completely severed your ties and submitted to if you're with Allah, if you haven't completely submitted to Allah, then you're still dancing with the devil. Same thing with Christians. If you haven't completely submitted to the will of God, then you're still dancing with the devil. And at any given time, the devil can come in and claim what's his, or however you want to say it. The devil can come in at any given time. So what I wanted to say was that when it comes to things like conspiracy and federal cases and indictments and stuff like that, and his particular case where it states that I can read it. It said rapper Little Durk was arrested Thursday in Florida by U.S. Marshals on a charge of murder for hire, according to booking records. The 32-year-old artist from Chicago, whose legal name is Dirk Devontae Banks, was booked into the Broader County Jail and is being held without bail. NBC News is out to the U.S. Marshals and reps for Little Dirk for comment. It comes as 5 people associated with his hip hop collective, Only the Family, were arrested on a federal indictment in California, accused of committing a murder for hire that resulted in the death and was allegedly done in revenge for the death of a fellow group member. 3 alleged OTF members, Kavan London Grant, known as Cuz or Vani, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, known as Dee Asa Houston, known as Boogie, were charged by a grand jury for their alleged part in the murder, according to court documents filed October 17th and unsealed Thursday. So he was arrested for murder for hire. And you know, I'm not sure if people spoke about the effects that money has on people, where they can put a price on you, and they can actually get somebody to carry out homicides and assassinations and stuff like that. But this isn't anything new. This is the ways of the world, and it even goes back to the Bible. It's even biblical, you know. It's biblical, when it was 30 pieces of silver that handed Christ over. So these are things like um, that's in the history of humanity. When soldiers, not to take anything from anybody that serves in the military, but when you're you sign up to serve in the military and you get paid for it. It's sort of like the same thing, and you can't exclude people that have had extensive rivalries, and all of their rivalries were assassinated in some form. Um, with NBA Young and G Money and TBG and all these people, it all would fall in the same category. When you don't have to do anything, but you allow your money to be the force behind getting things done. So these are alleged events in all cases. These are things that are alleged. So we aren't saying that we aren't crucifying or we aren't dishing out guilty pleas. We're just saying what these lifestyles and what comes along with it. You know, because you just recently seen the Young and Ace and the um, the young boy in Florida that was killed on his birthday, and that can fall into the same category. And the thing about that is what Eric, what Edward Snowden told us is that everybody's being spied on, all of our technology, and our phones, our computers, everything is being surveillanced by the NSA. So everything that's going to be done is already known beforehand, and this even goes back to um, the Tupac and Biggie incidents where they both was being followed. So if these are people that was being followed and they was allowed to be assassinated, then you would have to question the um, the authorities of how are you allowing these things to transpire when you're already forewarned about certain things. The same thing with targeted individuals. When they had the guy that they call a targeted individual, and he had grabbed his gun, but he was being targeted. So they was following him. They was monitoring him because they did call him a targeted individual, which is the reason why I won't allow myself to be called a targeted individual, is because they'll make it seem as though you have the same reactions to you being a targeted individual, and because they can classify these people and put them inside of a box and and give you a certain mannerism or behavior pattern, then now you're easy to be labeled and identified. The same thing with being black. That's why I don't call myself black, because people can say something about black people and it affects you personally because I'm black. Blacks is lazy, or blacks is violent, or blacks don't do this, or blacks will do that, or blacks is steal, or blacks are rob. And because you are associated with that, they can offend you. They say the N word, that can offend you. So this is the reason why I don't allow myself to be categorized by anything other than what God made me, and not to join anything that's say that they're with God, because now you're allowing yourself to be a part of something you know that has to have a certain following. You box yourself in, you put yourself inside of a box. But that's another story for another story. So when when you look at those those actions of those people, it would be underneath the same thing. And what I was saying is that the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the NSA, all these people have access to every bit of information that you could possibly think of. You're not thinking that these phones and devices aren't getting um, don't have any kind of surveillance on them, then you're sadly mistaken. Especially high profile people They have a lot of um, monitoring. They have a lot of people surveilling them. They're in the public spotlight. They're in all sorts of spotlight. And these are people that you would actually want to get into their devices. You would want to get into their devices because first and foremost, scammers would want access to their accounts and draw a cipher of money from them. I spoke about um, me being somebody trying to bribe me and tell me I got access to all this information, but son, I don't have no money. But don't you think that they would want to spy on them? You know, and at the root of it all, you would see that it's the same exact people. These are all a network of people that has this information and knows these things about people. So if there's actually crimes that they commit, they already know about them. They've been knew about them. You know, sometimes they just wait for the opportune time to come for you. But that's one thing I that I see, you know, and and you know, it wouldn't be if it was no truth behind, you know, the NSA and the CIA and the feds or people like that having access to all of your information, then Edward Snowden or whatever he disclosed or leaked to the people that really went on deaf ear because nobody cares about privacy anyway. Everybody, we really have no privacy. You know, because we first and foremost we're under surveillance everywhere we go. We go in the store, we're monitored in stores. We go on the street, we're monitored in the streets. We turn on our phones, we're monitored on our phones. We turn on our computers, we're monitored on our computers. So it's all the same thing, you know. But that's a huge thing right now, technology and how advanced it is and how little we know about the advancement of technology. But some of us, we're abreast of everything that's going on. And those of us that are, we're kind of, shunned. We're kind of shunned, or we're really, really watched, you know, and and I wanted to elaborate on that because you know there's I'm it affects me. It really affects me, spiritually, to keep seeing, you know people that are being victimized, by their circumstances, their communities, their upbringings, and what they've been subjected to. It affects me. It really does. And I'm not sure if everybody feels like that, or if everybody that has an opinion are really affected by it, or are they just, you know, knowing that these are things that would bring me 50 views and 50,000 views in an hour, or it would bring me 100,000 views by the time that the next thing. I don't know if these are the same. They have this. They have those intentions, or are their intentions really pure, or are they speaking on it because this is a topic of discussion, or do they really have solutions, to the problem of how we can stop this thing from being a revolving thing, you know? So some of us have to speak from that perspective, you know. Some of us have to, whether we want to or whether we want to or we don't. If you you have it in you and you it affects you, then you don't speak up, then the future will have no pity for you, because you could have said something when you didn't. You could have spoke up when you had the opportunity to, you know. So that's one of the things that I've tried to do before with with the young brother, little Jay, when he came out of jail. If you know people with sense, regardless of how they talk. See, with me, when you hear all the time and you hear me doing that, this means that I'm thinking. I'm not a robot. People that you get on here and they could just, well, Mars is 360,000. These people you have to be mindful of because these are people that are programmed. They program this stuff inside of them, and then they're able to say things that they they programmed themselves with. I am not a robot. I am far from AI. I'm a real live living feeling being. I feel, you know. So I'm thinking. So I'm processing. So that's the reason why I love to be able to say, to figure out the right thing to say, because it's coming from me, not from anywhere else. This is something that I feel, you know, as opposed to it being something that's been downloaded and and programmed into me. This is something that's genuinely sincere, So I wanted to know if people had any kind of feel for their people, you know, or is this just a money hustle for people, you know? That's what I wanted to understand. If this is a money hustle, But like I said, if things that's said to people and it gets the attention that it actually needs, things would actually change. People would actually change because they know that it's sincere and it's coming from a sincere place and it's done out of love, not out of hate or scorn or any kind of ridicule or trying to shame. It's done out of love. When I stated what I stated about little Dirk about 2 weeks ago, when I stated what I stated then, he changed his name. He changed his name to Mustafa Abdul Malik. When he changed his name to that, I said, chosen servant of the king, then you have to do that, you know. But a lot of times when we really don't have that repentance in us, things will catch up to us. This is the reason why it's imperative for us when we do things in the past to clear that debt, to clean that up, to not let it to come up and catch you, because that's what it's going to do when you repent. Whatever it is that's going to come for you, you're already at peace with it, you know. And I'm sure that the way that I've seen him going about certain things, with the music, the way that he was still in the music, doing the gun signs and, saying that, your girl on my, and this, that, and the third, and still flashing money. I knew that it wasn't, it was still something that he was trying to serve, and it wasn't a righteous thing because you just can't do that. You can't. I know that because I can't do it. Music rapping is a fun thing. Rapping is fun, you know, and it's a energy inside of it when you do it. It doesn't mean that you're about that, but once you do it, you feel a certain kind of way, and that's one thing that I was known for. Throughout my childhood, throughout my teens and stuff like that, I was known for rapping. For me to give it up, that's something that you know and the thing about that is, the music industry isn't about talent. So it's not like the most talented people get into the music industry. It's the most influential, the most people that they can use, you know, to influence, that they can use, that are they have a certain um quality that knows that we can use them. We can use them. You know, and like I said, I see behind a lot of things, and I've seen that he came from that Chicago scene, and if for you to come out of there while everybody else was perishing, then you know that you was being used because you wasn't like the most talented. I could name like 5 or 6 people that was like a lot hotter than him that they just didn't make it. But it's all about your willingness to submit to those people, to submit to the industry. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Your willingness to submit to the industry. And as you submit to the industry, you cannot submit to God because the music industry is not associated with God at all. It's not. It's not associated with God. That's the difference. You have to have a willingness to submit to them, to that. And that submission is contrary to the submission of God. And you might know God and you might even believe in God, but that doesn't mean that your submission to God is greater than your submission to the music industry. So that's how a lot of people get sucked into the music industry and sell their souls because they submit to the will of the music industry or to those that run the music industry. And I was stating that, I tried to reach out to the brother Little J when he came home. I was like, yo, bro, Jay, just leave, bro. Leave Chicago. Leave it alone. He wanted to stay in Chicago. He stayed in Chicago and eventually he went back to jail. I would have liked to see Little J, leave from out of Chicago, move to somewhere, maybe like Seattle or somewhere. Same, you know what I mean? And just use his energy out there in Seattle to further his music industry out there. Somewhere that's you know just different, and then be granted the opportunity to change. You know, because like I said, a lot of people aren't isn't it doesn't afford or isn't rewarded that opportunity. They don't get it, and by the time they realize that it's too late. So um, yeah. Recently I was watching the education of Sonny Carson, and this movie I've never saw it, but I seen somebody show a clip on Facebook. I believe it was on Facebook, and they bumped into each other in the hall, and they had an altercation, and you know we seen firsthand account of what ego is like. This was pride and ego, and this plagued us all the way back in the 70s. In 74 that movie came out, and then to carry that on from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s and still to the 2000 to the 20s. You're you're still what's up, dog? Hmm? What's up, dog? Dog said, "Yo, what are you talking about?" But for us to still carry that out right now, you have to see that this is something in our bloodstream where we're you know involved in this this egotistical thing that always leads to casualties. It always leads to something that just ain't good. You know, for for us, our communities, for anything, you know, it always leads to the same exact thing. All right, now go and get out of here. And I watched it, and you know, I came to tears, bro, because I seen what happened in the '70s. I seen what happened there. I seen when Billy Carson when Sonny Carson came home, and after he went to prison first and foremost because he wanted money. He robbed a guy to buy flowers for one of his gang members that was stabbed in a gang fight, and he died. That was one of the first casualties that they experienced, and he didn't have any money, so he had robbed somebody to get the money, and it showed you how, you know, all of that stuff was intertwined, you know, with the gangs. And then to make money they would have to destroy communities or destroy something to make the money, and it just kept snowballing. This is one thing that it just kept doing. It just kept snowballing until it turned into this big thing, this big uncontrollable destructive energy that now became most or every urban hood in America, and it to this day is just like that. From from L.A. with the Bloods and Crips to Chicago with the BDs, GDs, Vice Lords, Stones, and all these people all together. Um, to now up in Jersey with the Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, and all these people all together. Um, and Latin Kings and stuff like that as well. And we see it, and we saw in the movie how heroin came and affected people, and that's the same thing that goes on to this day. You know, from the heroin epidemics to the crack epidemic to the now the fentanyl epidemic. All this stuff is all intertwined. You know, so we have to understand that, you know, when we see a celebrity take a fall, this is something that, you know, was beyond his control or beyond her control, you know, and this is just them suffering the consequences for whatever it is that led up to that. See, the devil always knew, the wicked always knew um, their involvement in these gangs, and that's the thing. We we honor those people. We honor those people for their ability to be like that. We honor them. Or he got four bodies, or they killed this person, or they killed that person, or they get money. How you what else you expect person to do when they get money? They when they get money, they push that money around. Look at the guy in Houston. What is whatever this guy's name is, Little J. What do you think Little J done all his life? He never done anything like that. He's been a no. He has never done anything like what they're saying. Little Dirk did. Never. No. Oh, he never did. So no. Not saying that he's guilty of anything. But think about it. What do you think anybody do with big money? What do you think? Mike Jackson was talking about uh, Tommy, he was saying the same thing about him. This big man, he got this money and he do this, that, and the third, and you know. So why is it just a spotlight on him? So I stated before that, you know, until everybody is brought to justice, then you just can't single out who you're going to impose and inflict justice on, because everybody and everything is corrupted. Everything is perverted. This is why you can't pervert justice. This is why everything has to be brought anew. Everything. Everything. Everything has to be made anew in order for you to start imposing it righteously, because that's not going to be right. That's almost like a setup. It's almost like, yo, you set this man up. You know, this you was telling him that was the way of the world, and now it's not. No, we don't. The world don't move like that. Yeah, they do move like that. when you're in that lifestyle, yeah, you do move like that. You know. What's up, dog? Yeah, you move like that. You know. So I was I just wanted to elaborate on that because I see the same exact people all the time, and they just you know do the same thing all the time. They comment, but they don't never come up with any kind of solutions. You know, they feed off of another person's trials and their tribulations. You know, and they gain and they profit off of it. You know, they profit off of the other people's trials. You know, and that's the thing about YouTube. When YouTube starts to 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 promote what's right and stuff because like I told you, I already know what's going on these apps, on this particular app in general. You know, someone said that Halloween is demonic. I told them that YouTube is demonic as well. You know, YouTube is demonic. Why? Because of what YouTube does. Because of what YouTube does. You know, and the thing about me is that I'm under a whole different authority. I'm under the authority. I'm here by the will of God and under the authority of God. So I don't care nothing about what these people got going on, but I know what they got going on. You know, people getting gifted homes and gifted cars and going viral off of this and viral off of that. I already know about all that stuff. You know, and like I told you, in the song I have, it's called "Kill or Die in the Land of Hate." It was about the Chicago. It was about the Chicago situation. Like, poor black folks keep Jewish lawyers played in the hood. Life is just a dirty game. We stealing lives from these young brothers. What a shame. You know, poor black folks keep Jewish lawyers paid. In the hood, life is just a dirty game. We stealing lives from these young brothers. What a shame. These people think this is a game to keep playing with these young brothers' lives. And this is the only thing that we have for them is just to play with each other's lives. You know, and you know, that's a shame. You know what I mean? We still in these we still alive from them. You know what I mean? And oh, what's up? You get your nails out my leg. Yeah, and you know I've seen it. And there's not one there's not one person that's being being big bruh. They're not being big brother. They're not being you know the leaders that they should be, but they're being like vultures. It's not one. Not one that I see. The only person that I see that is willing to speak up and speak from, you know, a standpoint of, I'm not trying to, capitalize off the misery of my own people. It is me. The only person that sound like me is me. I don't see nobody else, saying anything that's beneficial or that I can agree with. You know, I don't. And that's the thing, man. That's and it kind of bothers me that it's like that. You know, I would like to not, you know, be the person that has to say certain things because I would rather be doing something else. You know, I would rather be doing something else. 'Cause like I said, I don't care for publicity. I don't care about the spotlight. I don't care about being seen. I don't care about being known. But yeah, yeah. Y'all should check that movie out though. The education of Sonny Carson. If you haven't seen it, you know, like I told you, I've never seen it, and I've been on this planet for almost 40 something, 40, 45, 40 something like that years. I've been on this planet. You know what I mean? And I have never seen that movie, and I've seen it, and I seen that there was um, a lot of similarities to what's going on now that was in that movie back in the 70s, you know, and you can even go back further, you know, to you know the 60s. You could go back to, you know, it's almost like it's really systematic, you know, and our engagement in the way that we participate in our own destruction, you know, is kind of it's yeah, it's kind of disgusting how we participate in the destruction of ourselves, you know, and we're the only people that do that. And what I wanted to say was that there's nothing or nobody on this planet like, you know, the people in this country that you call black people. There's nobody like us in the world. Not Africans, not Jamaicans, not Haitians, not nobody. There's nobody on the face of this earth like us anywhere. Anywhere. We're that um that peculiar. That we're just that peculiar. And like I said, and out of all the people, we're the only people that, you know, feed off of each other like that. The only people that I see, you know, maybe because I'm only my focus is there, you know, because I have a focal point. I'm only not just restricted there, but I'm primarily rooted there. Maybe that's the reason why I only see it like that, but I don't see, you know, other people, you know, doing that. I don't see other people doing that to their own people. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to share that with y'all because you know, I seen it. I seen it. You know, Rapper Little Durk arrested Thursday in Florida by U.S. Marshals on a charge of murder for hire. You know, and you know, if there's going to be justice, it should be justice for all. If you're going to serve justice on one, you should serve it on all. You know, so there should be a lot of U.S. Marshals coming for a lot more people. I know I ain't got no blood on my hands at all. When I was in a gang, I was gang banging backwards. I was saving lives. I was stopping people from killing other people. So hey, you're not coming for me. You're not coming for you're not coming for me. But yeah, if there's a such thing as, you know, them coming for gang members and stuff like that, then a lot of people, especially that's in the public eye, especially that's in the industry, especially all over the place, because like I told you, the NSA got everybody's information. They know everything about everybody, and that if that wasn't the case, then Edward Snowden would still be in America. He would still be in America, just deemed a cuckoo dog. You don't know what you're talking about. Take these meds. But he's in another country, hiding out. You know, supposedly in another country, hiding out. even after know what I mean, even after he left, he still stated, yeah, government spying on you. So they got everybody's information. Nobody's low from anything. You can't believe all these technologies is coming out and got all this information, and the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency aren't going to have access to these gadgets. They're just going to be passed underneath their watchful eye. No, they know everything that's in these gadgets because they're actually made by them. you know, they're actually made by them. You know, they have to pass through them to get to you. You know, they get top tier of technology. You get low tier, low to medium tier technology. They get top tier technology. You get low to medium tier technology. So don't think that they don't have access to any and everybody's information. So they know everything that everybody's doing. If you could watch somebody watching porn, then you definitely could watch somebody planning and plotting to do something. You know what I mean? In fact, there was a movie that I saw the other day. Um, Hacker, maybe it was called Hacker, where the girl, she was a hacker. She worked for the NSA, and she stumbled across an encrypted message where they was planning to, assassinate somebody. And she was like, "Oh, I gotta stop this." And the people was like, "Nah, dog, those are our people. If not, then we would. They have it in the same script that we got it in, you know." So they're watching people and watching keywords and watching things like that. But they got everybody's information and access to everything that has something to do with any kind of technology. But one thing that I stated was that um, I was stating something about, if there's no justice and this, that, and the third, until justice is not not perverted, or the people that's perverting justice is brought to justice, then nothing is going to change. I know I stated that, but the only thing that's going to change is that you're going to be governed by artificial intelligence because your intelligence isn't intelligent enough to govern yourself. That's going to be the truth about humanity. You're going to be governed by artificial intelligence because your intelligence isn't intelligent enough to govern itself. So I wanted to leave y'all on that because it it it, you know what I mean, some things just had to be addressed and spoken on. You know, we um we hope and pray that people get it together, but the way that it's going, the people that can get it together, their primary focus is getting, capitalizing off of people not getting it together. So that's the reason why we won't be able to get it together. You know, I believe all these brothers could do better. I believe Dr. Umar could do a better job of being a pillar in the black community. I believe that it's a lot of brothers. Not to name no names, but since you're out there on the front line, I believe that you can do a better job. But you have other, you know, yeah, you know. So I'm gonna leave y'all on that note, and peace.